Biostache.
Welcome to the Biostache podcast.
From vaccines to GMOs, this is your audible hub for all things biotech.
You can find our articles at www.biostache.com.
Also, check us out on our LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Biostache.
We hope you enjoy your fortnightly fix of biotech content.
Hope you enjoy.
Biostache.
We are back for
back.
episode 2 of the Biostache podcast.
I hope you are just as excited as we are.
Because we are just as excited as we were last time.
I'm sweating. I'm quaking like an earthquake. Which brings us to our first topic.
That was quick. Let's go. Let's get into it.
No, this has nothing to do with earthquakes.
I see.
I lied to you. I lied to you.
Welcome to the Biostache
Welcome to the
podcast.
Biostache podcast. How are you, Dan?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm well.
I
I'm
think
well.
coming off of the grand success from our first episode, this is very exciting.
We're chomping at the bit.
We are. Thank you for coming back and listening to us again. We are very excited to
Yeah,
keep
we're
delivering
happy to be here.
Some biotech.
Oh,
Hot-
this is
fresh off the press.
hot.
It is.
Hot off the press.
It is.
Hot.
So today, similar to our last episode, we're going to go through a couple of the articles we've written, a few things that are pretty exciting, and go through basically what the landscape is looking like right now.
This is your audible hub
It is.
for all intents and purposes. And we're going to summarize.
Yeah. Well, Harry, do you want to take it away? We can
I
start
would-
off with one of your articles that you wrote
I would love to.
earlier on.
So I wrote an article. It was week before last. This is week before last on Juma Bioincubator. Now, what's a bioincubator? My favorite joke ever of all time at the moment is it has nothing to do with eggs,
Or big
and that's
pharma.
really funny.
Oh.
Big farm, big
That was
livestock.
a throwback to last episode.
Shout out to that incredible joke. The substance in that, eggy substance. Anyway, so a bioincubator is pretty much a space for small biotech companies, startups, to grow and to get this experience that the incubator itself is responsible for. It sets them up to be successful in the early stages of their company. Now, Juma Bioincubator, which is set up in CSL's building just across the way. Juma refers to, as a concept, it's some sort of climbing tool. Now, I'm not tragic, so I don't do rock climbing, but it's some sort of clip. It clips.
I'm sure the climbers out there are raging at you right now.
We've offended all two of them. And so Juma Bioincubator is this joint venture between some pretty heavy hitters in the Australian biotech and biomedical scene. So we have CSL, of course, where they're set up. They are one of 3 sort of founding bodies, along with the Walter and Eliza Hill Institute, which is...
Pretty small names.
Yes, WeHi, if you are so inclined. We're calling it WeHi.
Yeah. I think we
And
have
the
to.
University of Melbourne, which you might be familiar with, is
Somewhat.
this small uni set up in Parkville, is it?
Yeah, Melbourne?
Melbourne, maybe?
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing.
We're not too sure.
Yeah, anyway. And it's sort of funded by the Victorian government's Breakthrough Victoria venture funding scheme, which is funded by the government, the state government, but is not run by them.
I see.
So they are sort of independently run, but publicly funded, if that makes sense.
Does?
That does?
Yeah.
God is good. And it's operated by Cicada Innovations, and they sort of have experience in this incubator startup helping sphere. Now, there are a number of startups at Juma. I'll go over a few of them. We'll start off with Cymex. Now, Cymex, I think it's Cymex Therapeutics is their full name.
Okay,
If I
sounds
can
cool.
find that it does sound cool. It is cool. So Cymex Labs, they design this lab on a chip technology for hormone regulation. Now, let's unpack that a little bit because that's a lot of words. So lab on a chip refers to encoding technology that detects biological levels of stuff. So in this case, you connect it to your arm and they are sort of able to measure hormone levels in the spirit of determining whether someone is ovulating for optimal...
Cool.
What do you call that? Procreation?
Yeah, offspring generation.
Your procreation.
I think, yeah.
You're a creative of sorts.
Yeah, I love Procreate.
That's art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I'm
Animation.
more of a deviant art man myself. Anyway, so they...
I'm imagining that that's a very difficult thing to do without a lab on a chip. Monitoring your hormone levels.
Well, it's not something you can do yourself, which is the whole spirit of the game here with Cymex Labs. It's sort of DIY. You take it home, you attach it to yourself, and you can go about your day, and it'll detect your levels of, I imagine, estrogen and other
very
sex
exciting.
hormones.
That has some big prospects.
Yeah, I think it'll... So they've described it as or Juma have described it as an innovative biosensor patch.
Cool.
If I may. And that provides insights about women's fertility.
Yeah.
So you will hopefully be able to get your phone, have it connected to your Cymex Labs designed biosensor patch, and figure out what the hell is going on.
Hell yeah.
What's going on there?
And I probably won't, but...
I mean, I don't know if you'll be ovulating anytime soon.
Well, hopefully not.
Well, that's a bit pessimistic, but look, let 1,000 blossoms bloom, I say. And another one I want to bring up is biointellect. So this is sort of a different sector of biotech. So with Cymex, that's more of your classical
medtech device.
Yeah, medtech, beep boop. We are in the lab because Juma have labs at their in their headquarters. So it's not just the soft skills or the soft approach to helping these companies, but it's also providing a space for them to completely work within and interact with other companies doing similar ventures.
Sounds fantastic.
Boy, does it. So Biointellect is more of a strategy and advisory firm in biotech, and they are set up at Juma as well. So you can see
need a lot of that.
Boy,
is there a lot of strategy in biotech?
Where do you go without strategy?
Nowhere. Yep.
You start at the bottom, and with a lot of hard work, you stay at the bottom.
That is really cool. So I have a quick question. What are the practical benefits of a bioincubator? What do these companies actually get from it?
These companies, they get a space with experts in it and a collaborative space with other biotech companies to build a network of people who know what they're doing and people who can help them out. And it drives more innovation, and it puts them in touch with the right people to go about their merry way and explore their potential.
Yeah, hopefully get some success in the future from it.
You'd hope. So with Biointellect, you can imagine they might interact with Cymex as a sort of strategy advising and consulting, putting them in touch with the right people and sort of guiding them on their way as they are experts in that field. And you also have the Center for Biomedical Excellence set up in this Juma space of sorts.
What is that?
I'm glad you asked. So they are also consultants in the biopharmaceutical sector.
Cool.
So these are just 3 examples of about, I'd say, 10 to 20 companies that I could name.
Fantastic.
In Juma, and they all have different roles.
Yeah.
And they all sort of come together into this one space and are able to co-work It's sort of like a co-working space, but for biotech startups specifically.
So if you're running a biotech startup and you're looking at a pretty lovely, wonderful bioincubator, go check out Juma
Do it.
as well. Yeah, I don't want you to feel left out.
Yay.
So
I would like to quickly make a correction. It is Wehi is Walter and Eliza Hall, not Hill. I know what I'm talking about, I promise.
you can start deleting your comments now.
Yes,
Thank you.
redirect your hate mail. I don't know where
not to we high, but not to us.
No, we high.
Where we high.
We high.
Very exciting, crazy news just happened in
Tell
the
us all about
GM
it.
field in the past couple months.
Dun dun dun.
So Queensland has an exciting new GM Cavendish banana.
Good
I don't know
lord.
if you're a banana fan.
They're top 5 fruit for me.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Go through it. Give us a top 5.
Okay. Well, now I've got to give you the top 5.
You
don't
do.
I? Okay. So let's just address the elephant in the room, which is mango. Number 1 has to be. I think
that's cause for debate. But
How is-
for me,
who
it's
is-
a number 1 too, I would say.
no one's debating that. No one sane is debating that.
Yeah, don't debate that.
Please don't debate that. Number 2, I would say, I'm more of a nectarine man than a peach, but I'm going to say yellow nectarines.
Okay, interesting.
They're goated. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to say, put banana in there.
All right, banana. You've heard it here first, folks. Banana is Harry's top 3, or 3rd out of the top 5.
I think the
fruits.
fact that it's not seasonal
Yeah.
works for it, but I wouldn't put it in a smoothie because then that becomes a banana smoothie.
Well,
And if I want a mango and nectarine smoothie and I put a banana in, that's now a banana smoothie with hints of those 2 fruits. It's
this
ridiculous.
is a very overwhelming fruit.
Oh, it's overpowering. It's overbearing.
But do you know what it can't overpower?
What?
Panama tropical disease 4. I think I said that wrong.
What happened to 1 through 3?
I don't know what happened to them, but
We don't talk about it.
So, yeah, no, I was right. Fusarium wilt tropical race 4, TR4, also known as Panama disease. It is a devastating fungal disease that attacks nearly all varieties of bananas. Well, like mainly the Cavendish, which is the one that we.
That's
That's
the
the banana. That's the ones that are in pajamas occasionally.
for real.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Talk about
little
that
guys.
for GM alteration.
Right? So to give you a much better overview of what's going on, the Queensland University of Tech has just been approved to grow and sell, if they wanted to commercially, a new genetically modified Cavendish banana. It's been modified to be disease resistant to the Panama disease tropical race 4, TR4. It's gotten that through another resistance gene that was found in a different type of banana. It's a very like unappetizing looking banana. I don't think anyone would want to eat it. It's like I have the species name here, but I'm gonna butcher the.
It's ugly, but it's
pronunciation
strong.
of it. Well, yeah, is it disease resistant?
Boy, is it.
It's a Musa acuminata, and then the subspecies is Melacensis.
You're doing so well.
Thank you. I was.
Was. Past tense.
Yeah, so that banana species has the gene, which is known as RGA2, which confers resistance to Panama disease tropical race 4, which has been known to be pretty devastating to like banana plantations when it hits. I'm not quite sure what current treatment methods exist besides just removing the plants or like separating them, because I'm pretty sure bananas can't propagate when they're grown like that. But this southeastern banana species, they looked at it, analyzed it for these resistance genes, and have isolated RGA2.
How did they think to look at it?
I think it just came up as an assay. They've also been working on it for the past 20-something years as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
when you
You'd
have that
hope,
much time
yeah.
on it, you would have found something that works.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that gene is cloned and then inserted into the genome of the new banana, which that's called QCAV4. That's the name of the new variety.
QCAV.
Yeah, and that's gotten OGTR approval,
Cool.
which makes it the first GM fruit in Australia. And
first.
approved, yeah, the
Oh,
first
wow.
approved GM fruit, and the first banana worldwide, I believe, that's genetically modified,
Wow.
which is really cool, like exciting stuff. We've been talking about regulation. We've been thinking about the regulation of GM fruits. Everyone's been talking about it for
I've been scratching
years.
my big old noggin just
All of us
thinking
have.
about GM fruits.
Exactly. So it is really, really cool to see that process go through, and for the OGTR to be like, "You're good.
Yeah, that's
do what you
nice.
want with it."
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool.
There's a first.
Yeah, no, the risk profile is really low.
Good.
It doesn't
That's always what you want.
exactly doesn't impact anything other than its resistance to this disease.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we are not going to be seeing it on shelves for a long time.
How long is a long time?
We are not sure. At the moment, they don't have any plans to sell it. It's mainly going to be there as a safety net. So as you were just saying, the only good thing about not the only good thing. One of the good things about the bananas is that it's you can access it whenever.
Yeah.
You can go to
times
your
of the
local
year.
Woolies, and there is a bunch of bananas there for you to grab, put in your Wheat Bix, or make a banana smoothie with many other ingredients that it just overpowers. But
Put in one atom of banana and it becomes a banana smoothie. It's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous.
Sorry, I'm still
Why does it
thinking
do
about
that? I'm thinking about it. It's horrible. Banana ice cream.
There is no.
That's all I think about when I think of bananas.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't think I've ever had banana ice cream. You know that?
Not really.
Really?
Okay, after the podcast, we'll see.
You're going to take me for some banana ice cream?
We'll do
Yes.
it.
Incredible.
Yeah. So at the moment they don't have any plans to sell it, but it will act as a safety net. So in the unfortunate event that all of our plantations become infected with Panama disease, we now have a way of being like, this is the new bananas that'll work and are completely healthy and approved, and you can release those for sale, which is
Nice.
very, very, very cool. It's kind of exciting to think about, like, what are we in Australia? What's next? You know, in terms of the GM food debate.
Yeah,
We've got
I'm
a
sure
product
logical discussion and debate is what's going to happen there.
And no fear at all.
No fear mongering, no negative media or anything like that. But at the end of the day, people want their bananas. People need their bananas.
Well, this is what. Now, this is going to be horrible to say, and I don't want anyone to get upset with me for this. I almost want there to be a outbreak of Panama disease, or just
Wow.
to force bananas, these new GM bananas, to come onto the market. Because,
That's a big statement.
well, people won't accept it unless there's no other option, I feel like.
Well, you know how Cavendish bananas came about?
I don't.
So
Enlighten me.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is true. You can Google this if you don't believe me. So Cavendish bananas weren't always the number one banana.
Wow, really?
There was a disease on the last lot of
Interesting.
bananas, however many years ago, God knows how many years ago, and it wiped them out, but it didn't wipe out Cavendish bananas. So that's why these bananas are what's in there. I think
Wow, okay.
I wouldn't wish for a disease to mess with these farmers, but I think, you know, there's got to be a way to make people more open to these things. What
Yeah.
do you reckon is another way?
Oh, it's a really difficult and complex challenge because people love to hop on the government regulatory bodies. They don't know what they're talking
People
about.
are anti-science.
Nothing. Exactly. So I think it's an underlying issue that needs to change. But in terms of like this banana specifically, like even just more farmers adopting it and using it. Like I think that it would be a much better option either way. Like less of your bananas are going to be dying
You know
of
who's
being succumbing to these
against-
diseases.
You know who's against all of this GM crop?
Who?
Duvalakis. It's Greenpeace.
Ah, okay.
So
You're kind of. This is the second time you've mentioned Greenpeace. Give us a
they
background
make
into why.
me angry. Well, they see it as some sort of crime against the environment
I see.
and natural biodiversity to have these GM crops.
Mm.
So that is why we haven't seen golden rice and anything like that in these Southeast Asian countries. But
Which, by the way, are incredibly helpful, useful crops
yeah,
that could change a lot of issues for a lot of people. Same with this. Bananas are a staple crop for a lot of people. So having like consistent access to it in the event of a disease is
Oh, they
so
don't care
important,
about
right?
people.
No,
that's
God, no.
something I'm gonna go out on a limb and say. But I will say,
Very short limb.
like my lip, like I'm a pterodactyl with this. What was I
Wait,
gonna
like a
say?
T-Rex, maybe? I think pterodactyls have really long limbs, right?
Oh, I was a
Like,
pterodactyl.
this is the biotech. This is the Biostache podcast. This
But
is the
this is not
paleontology
the
pod.
paleontology.
Paleopod.
We're
Coming
on
soon.
the paleo diet, aren't we? With our bananas.
Well, interesting. Would you, if you're on a paleo diet, I'd love to get input from people. If you're on a paleo diet, would you consume a GM crop as part of that if it fit into the paleo diet?
I think I don't actually know what the paleo diet entails. But I'm not on it.
Sam,
Sam,
give us a.
you're our paleo pal, our paleo, if you will.
I don't even know what a paleo diet is.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair
no
enough.
one knows.
Alright.
No one knows. Okay.
Anyway, so coming back to the banana, it is a really, really interesting and exciting bit of progress in the space. I cannot wait. I'm all for GM crops. I'm all for GM foods. I think that the
You
amount
shill.
yeah, I guess. What does that mean? I don't know what a shill is.
Sell out.
I see. Yeah, no, I'm selling out. I'm selling out hard.
So, yeah.
So that's the GM banana update.
The whole banana drama, if you will.
Yes.
So
it is. It's very exciting. It's a really, really interesting.
by
push.
Jove.
Yeah.
By
More
Jove.
more GM is better. Is good GM.
More GM equal better in
Exactly.
our professional.
On that debate, on that
bombshell.
that segue, we can move
Segue.
into GM beer.
GM beer. More GM stuff
Say
with
what?
the OGTR. So
The who now? Sorry. Continue.
the OGTR, Office of the Gene Technology Regulator, we should probably explain they sort
I
of
see.
govern what is and what isn't approved for use and commercialization in Australia pertaining to products that have been in some way altered in their genetic composition.
Yeah.
Now, there's more detail on what that really means and what they sort of govern the workarounds around that, but essentially that's what their role
There's
is.
a lot of complexity.
Yeah.
But in essence, if you're a small startup or a big startup and you have a crop you want to genetically modify, those are the people that you go to and you consult with
to
get your crop approved.
to approve that crop. So what we're talking about in terms of GM beer isn't actually genetically modified beer has been made.
Aww.
I know. Well, the thing that comprises BR is, wheat and barley.
Yeah.
Those kind of crops, and as well as other grains, but the genetically modified wheat and barley in question by the organisation, the University of Adelaide. I'm just going off the directory DIR 201 on the OGTR website.
Yeah, which is that is a dossier of every single thing you could ever need about these new crops.
the docs. The
It
docs.
is it's
the
a
Doc
very
Martens.
they are usually a very comprehensive set of documents for any sort of that's what you submit as your this is our thing and here
This
is
is-
everything you'd ever need to know about it
Yeah.
in one place. So they're
Public
very powerful.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Public knowledge, all of this. So the traits they're modifying in wheat and barley are the yield enhancement.
Very
Or
important.
they're enhancing the yield so that you get more bang for your buck. So you're less likely to get,
Get bucked.
bad,
feel bang.
bucked bangfully.
Yeah.
Which is
We
not.
can't have that.
Oh,
No.
I would hate
Small
to.
farmers or big farmers can't have that at
Yeah,
all.
medium farmers too.
Yeah.
The whole family. It's like
So-
the three, the Goldilocks and the three bears. You have the three levels
The three
of
farmers?
yield enhancement.
Yes.
So not just yield enhancement, but they're also controlling for abiotic stress. So that
Very
is
important.
heat, temperature,
I think salinity. Is that
salinity,
true?
heavy
Yeah.
metals. So anything that's not biological
Yeah.
in nature that could stress the plants to the point that damages them. So they are modifying the amount of stress that they can tolerate in relation to the aforementioned non-biological factors. And they're also altering the morphology of the plant, which is pretty much how it looks.
Which is like, that's kind of, that's bordering on a cause for concern.
Mm.
But I get, if it's been approved, I have complete faith that all those changes are completely fine. But what if my bread like comes out differently? You know?
What if your bread comes out differently? Well, that bridge will be crossed.
Yeah.
In a while from now, I'd like to say. I think with this, it was... And this is an article written by the lovely Ryan here, who will be editing this video. So this was just to do the field trial to see
so
how this happens.
We are way far down the line.
Yeah,
for getting a product out of it.
The license allows the University of Adelaide to do the field trial. That's all it is. So it's early days. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves a little bit, but
we do get excited here on the Biostache podcast.
Yeah, I've got goose pimples of sorts.
Yes, same.
I'm glad we're on the same page about that. To be honest, I thought it was just me. But yeah, so they are doing these field trials, and we'll see what comes of that. Maybe we'll be like the banana and not get put on shelves either,
and just be a security
and just
measure.
Live there.
Would you drink genetically modified beer?
Yeah, I mean, if it's cheap.
Wow, we
are university students.
That is the cornerstone of everything.
There is a
days.
cost of living crisis and alcohol taxes.
You should hear us on the Cost of Living podcast. It's coming out soon.
We have a new one? we have a new podcast every week. Instead of one episode of a lot of podcasts, or like a lot of episodes of one podcast, we have one episode of a lot of podcasts.
I love that idea.
I think it's a really good idea.
It shakes up the podcast space, I think.
See, and we can say we did that.
Like,
you miss every shot you don't take. Boy, are we taking shots.
Said that. So,
would you drink genetically modified beer?
I would be very curious to see how, like, the changes in morphology, if there's any changes in like how the sort of fermentation process like changes the quality of the beer. I would. Just in general, I think I would.
Yeah, is it a change in the? I guess a change in the sugar content would be the biggest thing for if you want to ferment it down the line. But like GM wheat and barley. What else is barley used for? Realistically,
that's a great question. I don't know if we. I'm not a farmer myself, but I'm pretty sure barley's exclusively used for things like that. It might be a grain crop as well.
It's a grain.
Yeah.
It's a grain. It's definitely a grain.
It could be some certain cereals too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, breads, soups, stews, and health products. That's Britannica. So
right.
Animal fodder.
Fodder.
That's a big. Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no, that's huge.
Well, that's major.
Yeah. Any increases in yield there are going to be very, very, very useful.
I can imagine so.
Yeah. Well, any GM progress is good progress.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. So
that's what we say in showbiz.
I am very excited for that, to see how that unfolds.
Nice.
I'm just excited in general.
Just wagging his little tail. Regardless, I think, do we have anything else we want to talk about? We have biotech and media. Okay, all right. So let's talk about biotech and media.
Biotech and media?
Yep, first
What's
take
that,
as well.
I say?
What's that he
we
says?
definitely didn't forget to plug our microphones in.
No, we did something else entirely. A whole other different thing.
A whole different bit.
Haha, we are doing well. Let's talk about Gattaca.
Gattaca. Now, what is Gattaca? Because I haven't watched it, and I definitely didn't just get a recap of it.
That's a movie starring Ethan Hawke and Jude Law. So Ethan Hawke plays the protagonist and is this guy set in this future where people just change the DNA of the children before they are born. Now, what this means for Ethan Hawke's character, who hasn't had his DNA changed, he's like a quote unquote natural baby. Unlike his younger brother who isn't, he has to deal with the sort of criticism and
Asthma.
asthma
I don't know if
among.
he's got
He might. He's not
Wow,
as
did I just okay, cool.
he's
Sorry.
not as strong as his younger brother and other. So he has to deal with being marginalized in a society where it's more common now for people to be sort of specialized in whatever they go into. Sort of
okay.
a little bit Brave New Worldy, but more just selecting for the genetic traits that the parents so desire. Is sort of this commercial aspect to genetic mutation or genetic engineering.
Well, okay, let's say you're having kids right now.
Oh yeah,
Would you let's say you're really into like football, for example.
football,
AFL.
proper football.
Would you give them an extra, I don't know, 10 centimeters of height? Just
See,
if you could? Like,
yeah, I don't. I think I draw the line ethically at sort of changing DNA for anything that isn't disease, like genetically inherited disease.
gotcha.
Um,
So anything that'd be like medically negative, like a like a
Yeah,
condition
so if
or
it-
asthma.
so quality for life for me only really extends to the health of someone.
Gotcha.
So I don't think that really relates to, oh, let's make them taller or stronger or smarter. I don't really see there's any real or like, more conventionally attractive. I don't see the merit in changing that. I think that will negatively impact society.
I think I'm also the same. I'm all for preventing disease, especially genetically, like
Yeah.
inherited ones too.
No,
think
I
it's
love
important that we-
disease. Disease these
You heard it here
folks.
first.
Yeah. I am pro disease. No.
You should download Pocket God as well.
Yeah, see, that, like in a controlled environment, you can play God like they're playing God with the genetics in Gattaca. It's like this dystopian
Yeah.
future. Ethan Hawke ends up beating all the odds. It's sort of like a triumph against the genetic trait thing. It's something that I watched in year 10 biology.
Nice.
I
I wish I did too. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something my mum watched in biology when she was in high school.
Wow, it's
yeah.
that old.
It's
Sorry,
it's not new.
Mrs. Glasswell.
Yeah. Who would? Yeah, I mean, how could you?
How old is Gattaca? When did it come out? 80s?
Yeah, it'd be in the
Oh,
80s,
okay,
something
well,
like
that's-
that,
I
70s
take
or
it back, I
80s.
retract my statement. So yeah,
Irregardless,
that's a really good example of,
Yeah.
of biotech in the media.
What's another example?
Well, I think biotech goes hidden quite often in the media. Like it's just
Oh, dear.
there and sort of in the background.
Yeah,
You don't really like notice it unless you think about it.
not
I think
often.
though the most overt one, and also my favorite dinosaur movie ever
Okay,
in the whole world,
okay,
is Jurassic Park.
yes,
A classic,
good.
absolute classic,
Oh my god,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Like
I mean, it's Jeff
all
Goldblum,
timer movie.
old timer.
Yeah, they obviously, if you've watched it, which I'm sure
Obviously.
if you haven't, go watch it. It's like the best dinosaur movie if you're into dinosaurs. They cloned dinosaurs from DNA.
God damn it! Yeah, they sure
Classic
did.
biotech.
Cloning. We've
Which-
seen animals cloned
We
in
have
real life.
who did that?
Have
And
you
what
heard
was-
of Dolly the sheep? Hello.
She was kind
very
of an awesome
important.
example of cloning.
Yeah. So that happened in 2003. Lived about half the expected life of a sheep due to organ failure. Eventually, I think there's some
Classic.
epigenetic factors that you could look into as to why it wasn't as didn't go for as long as a normal sheep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically what that was a stem cell. You can study stem cells
Tongue
in.
twister.
Oh my god! Right?
Yeah,
I
study
hate a
stem
tongue.
cells.
Study-
Say that 5
Study
times.
stem cells. They removed the embryonic stem cells of one sheep, put them into the embryo of another sheep in like early embryo, inserted that embryo back into it was one of the two sheeps.
Yeah.
And what came out was a exact genetic copy,
Clone.
a clone of the sheep that the embryonic stem cells were from. So embryonic stem cells are cells that can become almost any cell type.
Pretty cool.
So
We have a lot of cell types in our body.
we call that pluripotent.
It's a keyword.
Keyword.
Chuck that in the glossary.
So you might be familiar with blood stem cells or bone marrow. So your bone marrow or cells in your bone marrow are cells that become any type of blood cells. So your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your white blood cells being your macrophages and your B T cells, like
Yeah.
they're your immune cells, and your red blood cells being your erythrocytes, which are they carry
fire.
oxygen to every part of the body.
They do.
So they all come from one stem cell, but they can only become blood stem cells. So they are multipotent
Instead of pluripotent,
instead of pluripotent.
which we're looking for if we're making clones. Which
Ooh,
I'm
yeah.
not for the sake of any government.
No,
issue.
I am not making clones.
I'm not. Definitely not.
I would never. Moving
Talking
on.
of clones.
Speaking of clones.
Also, I will say, dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs.
You love dinosaurs?
I do. I
You
wish
want to
we
talk
could
about
bring
dinosaurs a
back.
little bit longer?
I would love to talk about dinosaurs.
All right. Well, what was your favorite dinosaur growing up?
Wow, that's a
question you've heard for the first
that's a
time.
great question. It's definitely the Stegosaurus.
The
I think.
Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's that big boy.
That's
what
the big,
about the Stegosaurus?
gentle-looking one. Just
Is
a
that the one with the
big-
plates?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Maybe I'm thinking. I think I'm. Yeah.
Could be Stegosaurus. Brontosaurus is another one. It could be.
No, it's
They're
a Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus.
Yeah. They're so cool.
Yeah.
I think they're really cool. Like,
I'm,
what
I'm
were the
glad
plates
you're so
for,
passionate
you know?
about them.
What do they do? Like the plates were just there.
There. I mean, defense mechanism.
For what? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a lot of food.
Yeah, true. I guess if you're biting from above, like
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you got a pterodactyl coming down.
you're not gonna bite the plate.
Oh
know?
hell
Yeah.
no! Do you
Well-
bite the plate?
I try not to.
Yeah, often.
Depends on how tasty the food is. What's your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur growing up was the what do you call it? The Triceratops. Yeah, I was a
That was one
Triceratops
with three
guy.
horns.
Yep,
Is that
three
right?
horns
The
or
huge,
tri.
face
Yeah,
face plate.
yeah.
That's
I
really
thought it was cool.
They are.
I
Cool.
was
They're
like-
still cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think about dinosaurs as much as I used to. I think.
Oh,
I
That
know. We live in a society where we don't get to think about dinosaurs.
we do.
Sam, what was your favorite dinosaur growing up? We got Sam behind the camera right here.
Probably the T-Rex.
T-Rex.
That was a
Are
T-Rex.
you an oldest sibling?
Youngest sibling.
Wow,
that's
that is
surprising.
brave.
Yeah, wow.
What a brave. Like, see,
Bold. Really bold.
my older brother took the T-Rex thing as his favorite. There was a real sibling rivalry.
I'm feeling some a bit of jadedness from this.
How are you feeling jaded?
No, from you.
From me?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I love my brother. He got admitted to the bar yesterday.
Congrats.
Congrats, Hamish. Now
Yeah.
he's officially a lawyer.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So, speaking of clones. Yeah.
We've got another brilliant example of biotech in the media and clones. Star Wars.
Go on.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the
in
Clones.
particular. Although it's kind of like the whole series, really.
Yeah, the
Has
Clone
it?
Wars. See, I never watched the Clone Wars thing. I've never been a massive Star Wars guy.
Really?
Yeah.
You're either a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or Star Trek guy.
I don't know if I'm any of those.
Wow.
Pen me
Really?
in as a Harry Potter kid. Oh, is
Harry
there a
Potter
problem?
kid. No, I'm surprised. I'm taken aback.
I don't know. I just when I think of movies I watched as a kid, I can't. Yeah, no, none of those series, none of those sci-fi series. But I respect the place that they had in society and still continue to have. Like, I still get I'll be on Instagram Reels, and I will see some stuff
Battlefield.
about something.
Cool. Well, what? Okay.
Star Wars being
What
the something.
Hogwarts house were you in? This is really important. Or are you in? Would you be in?
I think. Look, I don't want to see. I think I'm thinking this is basic, but it's not because no one says it. Gryffindor.
Yeah.
I think
That's
I'm a
fair,
Gryffindor.
actually. I think that's fair.
Look, all
Yeah.
things considered,
Everyone wants to be a Gryffindor because
everyone wants to be a Ravenclaw.
Do they actually?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know one person who's like, oh, I really want to be a Gryffindor
Oh, okay.
in real
Yeah.
life.
Well, I think if you really want to be a Gryffindor, you'd be a Gryffindor. That's
Yeah.
that's
The.
See what I mean?
What about you?
I'm a Slytherin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I always have been.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's
How
awesome.
does a snake enter a room? It slithers in. That was
He's a real Harry Potter
real joke.
But
That was a real joke. We do the
clothing.
hard hitters. Where's my Netflix special?
It's coming.
Netflix.
Speaking of Netflix, actually, I don't know if it's on Netflix, but
The Clone Wars.
yeah, Attack
I
of
think
the Clones or Clone Wars.
That'd be Disney.
Clones.
Clones,
Stormtroopers. That's when I
Stormtroopers.
think of clones, I don't think of Dolly the Sheep. I actually, like, what pops into my head is, like, the scene where they're in, I think is it where is it? Camino, maybe?
El Camino.
I can't remember the
I
name of
don't
the. Yeah, it
see
is
it.
Camino. God, I'm good. So
This guy
it's the water
slam
planet where they
dunks.
do all the cloning in Star Wars.
Oh
It's
yeah,
with the really tall people with the long necks.
I love those
They're in there
guys.
and they walk around really like
Yeah.
fluidly.
Yeah.
When I think of clones, I think of that because I
Okay.
think it's a really stellar example of like what can go wrong.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
like, printing.
And what does
armies.
go wrong?
They print an army of clones.
Yep.
Which is like that's scary. Scary to think about. Just,
Scary
like,
to think. Yeah.
life's
Okay. Well, just like
expendable.
unethical.
There's just, oh yeah, so
Yeah.
many like bad ethics.
Who was the
there.
original?
Oh, I'm gonna anger some Star Wars fans.
If you
Is
don't
it
know, you don't know.
Boba Fett, maybe. It's one of those people.
Oh, I think Jango Fett was the older one.
Oh yeah, one of those was the initial clone, I believe.
That's so interesting.
It might be Jango Fett, I think.
Um.
I'm looking that up.
Yeah, I think. Look, with cloning, it's one of those ethical lines that I don't think will ever be crossed. I don't
Yeah,
think we will
Django.
ever clone another human being the same way I don't think we will ever like cosmetically change someone's DNA. We've got CRISPR out as like the precision DNA technology that's in use
Yeah.
at the moment. We've only just started getting what do you call it? Like disease focused or like human focused CRISPR based therapies.
Yeah. Only recently.
Only
after
recently.
like some pretty extreme
Oh, yeah.
levels of trials and
Yeah.
regulation around
Oh
it.
well,
so-
like the regulation had to be lifted. Like this is all in the last 5 or 10 years, I'd like to say. Anyway,
we've got a lot of work to do.
so much work to do.
But yeah,
Not enough time.
Those are probably my favorites in
Favorites.
terms of what the biotech.
Yeah,
in the
biotech
media.
in the media.
Yeah.
Go read Sam's article to
Should.
see more.
Seymour. Yeah.
So next on the agenda,
Well,
AI
AI.
in biotech.
Aye.
So what have you always said, Dan?
I'm glad you asked. I've always said this. I continue to
Always.
say this. Always.
Every single day.
I think AI is the next big step for humans.
Big step.
We had, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to go through the timeline.
Yep.
We had fire.
Fire.
We hit a couple rocks together,
Yeah.
some flint. We turned fire. We made it a thing. We evolved. We then turned that fire into Bluetooth,
Bluetooth.
and the
Yep.
Industrial Revolution,
Okay.
into
Yes.
computers, into the internet,
Yep.
into like being able to stream Justin Bieber on my phone
Yep.
whenever I'd like,
And then Bluetooth.
and then Bluetooth again,
Yep.
5E or whatever's out now. Like crazy that we got that from banging two rocks together. What's next, right?
What's next?
And I've been saying for ages, what is next? We are in the generation that is too early to explore the stars, but too old to go through like the internet phase. What's next? What's happening next?
Yeah.
You know? AI is next,
AI.
I reckon.
AI is
That's my I think that AI is our next frontier, if you will.
Hell yeah.
I think AI assistants are going to be everywhere. I think AI tools are going to be ubiquitous in the next 10 years. Everyone's going to be using it. And I think that it's going to completely change how we interact with biotechnology and how we do our jobs in future.
And how will it change biotechnology, the biotechnology landscape?
Well, I think the main thing will be in the way that we handle really complex sets of information. Things like genomics, specifically.
Bioinformatics.
Exactly, yeah. Those things that take a huge amount
All
of
of
brain
the
power.
omics.
All of the omics. It takes a ridiculous amount of effort, amount of man hours, amount of work that we can simplify and make better with the use of AI. It can be more accurate. It can be more sort of, instead of us having to crunch the numbers as hard or crunch the data, it can crunch the data for us, which I think is really important.
I think, well, we have languages that already crunch the data, but I think it's also the interpretation
Yes,
of
it's
said
the next
data.
step that we don't get at the moment.
Yeah. I will say at the moment, AI isn't ready for that
No.
yet, and we're not ready for that ourselves. But I think it will be interesting that, it'll be taking jobs, but our population's still growing. So it'll be interesting to see where the people who would be doing that job, where they would go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
for sure.
what would they do instead? How do we give them a role in the industry?
Well, see, and this is my kind of the point of the article that I wrote, which I wrote an article about.
He
this
wrote an
on
article, and you should check it out at
biostache.com/articles.
biostache.com/articles. Go check it out, please.
Go read it, please.
Please, we need to hit our KPIs, please. Go. Send it.
We shouldn't be afraid, is what I'm saying. Our
Yeah.
jobs are not
Be not afraid.
they're not going to be taken. They're just going to change.
Okay.
And we're just going to be using more AI. So I think when we go to do our biotech related things,
Yep.
we have a lot more options using AI than we do otherwise. And I think that's going to be where the redundancy kind of lies. Not so much in your job and what you're doing. Sorry, like your job and what your role is, but how you do the role.
How you do the role.
The tools you have will be different. I think a big one, not just genomics, bioinformatics, personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine.
I think
Explain
that's going to
that.
be a massive sort of avenue for AI to come in. Basically, tailoring medicines and tailoring treatments to whatever a patient's characteristics are. So let's say you come in and you have a certain condition or a certain issue. That issue can be affected by so many different things that you might have that a doctor kind of has to look at and evaluate your entire profile. If we can get an AI to kind of be able to interpret all that information, we can have much better treatment outcomes for people when we take into account all of the characteristics combined. So I think the personalized medicine will be heavily influenced by AI, just in the sense of it'll be able to interpret a patient's entire kind of portfolio of characteristics and traits and compare that to all the data on ethnicity, gender, hormone levels, for example, and just have all of those statistics and profiles to give them the best treatment outcome afterwards.
Yeah, interesting.
I see, and this is me being hopeful, I see a future maybe 25, 30 years from now. Instead of having to go to a GP, before that, I imagine an AI assistant. You go up to it, even like how we do with like WebMD now, but more advanced. You sort of have your medical profile. You go up to it and you say, "Hello, Mr. Dr. GPT. I have a sore leg."
And the GP,
it'll
GPT.
Yeah, that's right, GPT. And it'll go through and sort of go through the same process that a doctor does, understand your health profile, and then say to you that it's likely that you need to go to hospital, or it's likely you need to get a scan, or it's likely you need to see a GP. Or it can say you're being stupid, go home. But at least you'll know that you're not being invalidated by a doctor and it's actually got like some stats behind it. But I see a future in which your kind of medical outcomes, you have a lot more tailored, like it's more tailored to you and your characteristics because of AI.
Okay. My question is, do you think people want that though?
I
do you think people want the lack of interaction that will come with that?
Well, I think people want easier access to treatment and to getting an answer as quick as they can. And whether or not that answer comes from something online versus someone in person, I think it's a different kettle of fish. If that makes sense. if people want interaction, they go to a doctor.
Yeah.
If they want a quick answer, they pick the first thing that's the quickest and the eeasiest. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you're scared shitless about something that's happened, you want to get the quickest kind of information you can.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think AI is the future.
Fair
I think
enough.
That's a big part of biotech that will be really interesting. I'm excited to see what people come up with in the future. for things
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
the field will change as a result of AI.
Yeah.
It'll be
Along with many others. At the
oh
moment.
every
Yeah,
other field
all of them.
except for art.
Big
We leave
fields.
art out of it.
Big fields, big crops.
Oh, come on. So on that note, I reckon we wrap that up.
I think we're good. Thank
I
you
think
so
this
much
is
for
good.
listening.
Thank you for listening. If you listen this far, we love you and appreciate you.
Do
We have big things coming as always.
always. I think at this point when this is released, we should have our TikTok up and running.
Hopefully.
Maybe our YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels.
Hopefully. That's
We'll
what
see.
that's the hope.
That's the hope.
But we're
But that
also
is
at a
coming.
very busy time with uni, so bear with us.
Yes, stay with us.
So yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much.
We've
Adios.
been the
Goodbye.
Biostache.
We've been thank you for listening to the Biostache podcast or whatever we're naming this.
Adios.
Adios, muchachos.